Today we're going to be doing the before walkthrough of Joseph Davis State Park down in Lewiston, New York. We're starting here, walking up. This trail comes over. We're going to walk around these ponds, walk down this one, around to this one, and walk back up. Pick up the road down that way and walk right back to where we are parked right here. Let's start. Small game hunting is permitted to people who register for a permit. Let's see what kind of wildlife there is today. A nice gate shows that the trail is open. And it looks like it's been recently cut in the past couple of days. There's still grass shavings on the ground. As you can tell, there are some obstructions to the trail of things reaching in. Those will have to be taken out with trimmers to optimize the performance of the trail for people. That will have to be taken with a saw. These branches can get trimmed. As you can tell, it's overgrown in many places, but it will all be taken care of with a weed whacker on this side and the sticks and branches and everything with either a chainsaw or a pruner or a trimmer. But the trail isn't in too bad a shape. It looks like it's well kept, being mowed and taken care of in that aspect, so that's a good start. These branches will be trimmed down so taller folks won't be whacking their heads or having to dodge them while walking through. As we start to get further back in the trail, the grass is getting longer. So we'll see how that progresses as we get our way back to the pond. Like this branch here, it's a major issue on the trail. You'll probably just trim it up at the top and get the whole thing out of there, because this branch has reached down to about probably 3 feet off the ground. No one's going to be able to walk underneath that without doing the limbo. And then here's a nice little canopy of branches reaching over. We'll just trim off probably the bottom set so people can walk through without any issue. Maybe some of these branches can get taken out as well, so people don't have to walk around them. We've been fortunate enough to not see many rose branches or thorns or anything like that, so that's good. But we'll see what we come across farther up into the trail. Here's where the trail forks off into a little split. A little overgrown in there. I don't know if that's a social trail or an actual trail that needs to be redone, but I will take a look in there in a minute. Walking over this way, we are approaching the corner of the pond. Which is a pretty cool sight. Fairly shallow ponds as far as I can tell, with a bunch of moss and weeds, but there is largemouth bass in here. I have been fishing back here before and caught a couple. Not very big, but still fun to catch. There's some obstruction with the oh, here's our first thorn vine here. We need to clear that out for sure so people aren't getting cut up. But other than that, it's pretty good condition. Fairly mowed back here, even in the back is part of the trail. I bet this is a hot spot for ducks and other migratory birds as well. Out of the way, very secluded and a nice area. Nice view of the pond here. This is the smaller pond. As you walk around to the other side, we'll come to the bigger pond. Okay, here we have a bunch of obstruction. Some pricker vines, some sticks, the whole nine. So we're going to try and sneak through here without getting cut up, and we did. Here it looks like there's a fork in the trail, but it leads in the same direction. If I were to guess, this side looks like it's pretty muddy when it rains a lot, so people will walk through this side. It's higher ground. You can tell by the tractor ruts or whatever was used to drive through here. There's a pretty deep gully in the ground. But either way is fine. Just pick the drier ground if it is wet. There are some obstructions in the trail, not horrible, just a couple branches that need to get cut down. And these can probably get nicked off too for the people wanting to walk in. Here's the same pond. Just before we were viewing it from over in that corner. Now we are over here on this side. Pretty narrow, like I said, and pretty shallow, but it's got some nice weeds in there for the fish to live in, and I'm sure there's turtles and frogs and everything else too. It looks like there's a garbage can here flipped over with a bunch of garbage on the ground and bottles and cans and Tim Hortons coffee cups. So when I'm back here next week, that will definitely have to be picked up. I'll make a note to bring garbage bags and get that cleaned up nicely. Carrying on, we're walking alongside of the pond still, the narrower pond, which should lead us out to the bigger pond in just a couple minutes. I hear the squirrels ruffling the leaves up over top of my head. They must be playing or getting their morning action in. Just waking up. Here's a sign here that says closed. Proceeding at your own risk. So I'm guessing that refers to the swimming. And maybe fishermen too if they fall in and hurt themselves. But just to be careful along the side of the pond. And here's the final access point to the narrow pond. We've just walked all the way around the side of it. There's not a trail that leads along the other side that I have found, but maybe there's something that's overgrown. I'll keep looking. As we follow, we should open up to the bigger pond here. Just a couple steps. Which is also a good way to catch some fish back here. This trail here is a tractor trail only, with the gate blocking it off, which leads to the main entrance when you first pull in. There's not a parking area out there. Like I said, it is for tractor use only, so the employees at the park can have full access to get in and out whenever they need to. And it is not it's not a civilian trail. It leads you to the entrance of the park, where you cannot park your vehicle. As we walk around the way here, this will be bringing us to the large pond, like I've mentioned several times. Grass is still very low, and the feet are staying fairly dry. So that is a nice touch. It is well kept. A lot of wildlife this morning, birds and squirrels, and I've heard a couple frogs croaking. Hear the crickets in the background. But we've spotted no deer yet, but that's okay. And here we are alongside of the large pond. We can't really view it yet, but we should be able to shortly. There's openings. Here you can kind of see the opening. This is the back corner of the pond. Looks like here's a civilian-made kayak launch or other small boat, maybe a canoe. That's a long walk to carry your boat back in here, so that must tell you there's pretty good fish back here, or people just like the scenery. As we continue on to another viewpoint, we should be able to see some nice aspect of the water. Maybe we'll see some fish jumping or anything else. A cardinal and a robin just flew by into that tree. So definitely some good wildlife in this Joseph Davis State Park in Lewiston, New York. Here's another somewhat overgrown access point to the pond. Fishermen might have some trouble fishing here, but if you have a canoe or a kayak, like I said at the other launch, you could tell people have snuck through here before because the reeds are all knocked down. We'll continue on the other side. Here's a fork in the trail. This just leads around the backside and opens up right here. So it doesn't take you anywhere special. I found that out by walking it. Here's a little more opened up section. Looks like people can stand here and try and catch some fish or launch their boats again. It is a pretty big sized pond. Not very weedy either, so some ducks just took off the pond, 4 of them. They sound like wood ducks to me. They probably have a nest back here. Must have spooked them when I pulled up. And here we are at the back side of the pond. The ducks took off just from over there under those trees. So, which leads me to believe that there is a nest from them back there. Fun fact is, wood ducks are some of the only duck species to build their nests in trees. That's how they got the term wood ducks. This trail just goes down in and leads back. It's just a circle. But this is the end. And again, the same sign here is at the other pond. Proceeding at your own risk. Like I said, this pond is a lot bigger. You can really tell from this view. It's a good size for recreation, fishing. But that sign refers to proceeding at your own risk, so I'm assuming no swimming. Logs like that can obstruct the trail, or people not looking down at their feet might trip on it, so it's always good to be a good neighbor and clear the trail out when you can. Here's a trail that runs parallel to the other side. So we were on the main trail heading back. which will bring us out by the car. Well, not by the car, will bring us out to the main road, and we'll have to walk back over this way towards the car. Here's a muddy mess. It looks like the tractor must have gotten stuck in here like recently. As we're finishing up our last stretch of the trail, it's been a beautiful morning for a walk. It's probably around 62 to 65 degrees, and it's still under 9 o'clock. So today should form out to be a nice day. Again, we're approaching an area where it looks like the tractor did get stuck. It was very wet and muddy, and you could see the tracks that dug in. That must have happened recently, perhaps yesterday. Grass is very shortly cut here, which is very nice. A good way to help keep your feet dry. I know sometimes with waterproof boots, even your feet get wet through the waterproofing. Today hasn't been too bad. The outside of my boots are soaked, but the inside are nice and dry. This side coming up has some obstructions to the trail, but not nearly as close to the other ones. pretty clean cut. This is probably their most used trail. Here we are coming out to the main roadway into the park. There's a nice picnic area here with some charcoal grill stands, garbage cans with bags in them, which is nice, and picnic tables. Nice area for families and friends to come spend time together. West Ponds, this is talking about the Fish and Wildlife Service, the ponds we just toured. And then the same sign we've seen at the entrance to the park, where we started our walk. Now we'll start the trek back to the car. That is a tour of all the trails, the main trails at least. There's some other little smaller cut trails that I will have to observe and maintain as well, but I didn't have my map with me, so I will have to come back and do that at a later date. Off to the left over there, there's a small, overgrown, very weedy little pond. They call it their fishing pond. Probably tough to fish because there's so many weeds, but there might be some good fish in there. There's a bridge over there, and then there is a pavilion, many picnic tables where people can have a small party, and also a disc golf course for people who are into that sport. Not a very busy park from the times that I've been here, but it is peaceful down here. That is the employees building to the right, which is where they park their personal vehicles. And there's a garage back there with all of their supplies for maintenance of the park. Lawnmowers, tractors, hand tools. Morning. And here we are coming up to the vehicle again. Very nice rounded off walk of the main trail system here at Joseph Davis State Park. This is the before. Stay tuned for the after. Thank you. Okay, Garmin.